Well then, lads, how are we? Jimmy Mac fresh with a new microphone set up. Go on, lad, give us a little look there. Whee, look at
Microphone moving.
Looking like the professional there, lad.
Right. Amazon, isn't it? It's fucking, what's his name sorting me out?
Going up in the world. And Tank, we are hopefully going to be able to hear you this week, mate. You're in new surroundings. You look great. Do you sound great?
I should do, mate. Yeah, I've robbed Millie's laptop. So everything's
Look
good.
at this. Do not move. Everything is good. Nothing can go wrong. Actually, I have to call it out. Tank, you were insistent on some Love Island chat tonight. In fact, not to quote you here, mate, you said it's the greatest show in the world, to paraphrase you. You're enjoying it then, mate, yeah?
You've missed out bar none at the end of it.
Do you know what, mate? As long as I've known you, if you were to make a wild assumption about you, you loving Love Island would not be something that I would ever think would be a thing, but it really is.
I think Tank loves it. He loves it because I've seen his toes. He gets manicures and pedicures, so he's right up there.
Do you know what? It's mad you should say that, because my miss actually said to me about my toes before, they're disgusting, they need creamer. And then I was like, Jimmy said the nicest. What are you talking about?
Absolute beautiful toes.
No, Love Island. I got into Love Island about 4 years ago, and my daughter was saying, you have to watch it. And I was like, I'm not watching it. Look at the state of them. And then I watched it, and it was like, to myself, I was like, this is incredible television. And since then,
awful.
I mean,
it's
awfully
not watch it, can you? Like,
listen, Jamie, who's saying he's never watched it before, I seen one of his answers on Twitter before in mad detail about Andrew, and I'm like, this fella says he doesn't watch it.
Oh no, I've never said no. Shout out to Merv who asked me the Love Island question, because when I put the tweet out, I was like kind of joking, but I wasn't. So I was like, look, we'll answer anything that you send us, even Love Island. And I was hoping someone would send one in, but mate, I love Love Island. I think it's great TV. I'll talk about it as much as you lads want to. We, like me and the missus, will sit down, and there's a couple of for those that don't watch Love Island, I will shut up in a sec, but there was a moment there the other day, you two probably were laughing at it as well, when this lad was trying to explain how he cheated on his missus, and he's like, I might have licked a tit.
I licked a tit. Yeah, that went down well in our house. How can you not know whether you've got a tit in your mouth? It's like, it's a tit, it's in my mouth. Well, I might have. It might be, and it might not be.
You never know. I fell and landed on a tit.
He must have known when he said that sentence that the whole of the UK is watching him, and half the lads are going, mate, what have you just said there? You tit, literally. So to the football, right? So we've got a good few topics to get through. We've had loads of listeners' questions come in, which I absolutely love. So I want to start on something that broke today, and this guy's probably got a little bit of coverage from us over recent weeks, but it's quite a big news story in that. We spoke about United quite a bit, actually. Ten Hag come out today, and there's been, I suppose, much focus on who he was going to pick as captain for Manchester United. I was of the thinking that Maguire would benefit from not being captain. It just feels like it's weight's a little heavy for him to carry, especially when he's going through a rough time in terms of form. Tank, the news has come out today that Ten Hag has appointed Maguire as his captain, sees no reason to change it, said that he's had a lot of success, which is, a dubious statement to make. You surprised that Maguire's held on to the captaincy there?
No. Not surprised. Is it the right decision? Not too sure. Surprised? No. I think Harry Maguire's had a really tough time since his move at Man United. It's not been a great success. He looks shot to pieces confidence-wise. And I think that would be the straw what broke the camel's back if he lost the captaincy this season. I think that would just ruin him completely confidence-wise. And I don't think that's an ideal scenario for a new manager coming into Man United, looking to try and hit the ground running. They need players, we know that. But Harry Maguire is better than what he's been shown at Man United, and I just think if they took the captain's armband off him at this stage of his career with a new manager coming in, that could sink him.
Where are you with this one, Jim?
I'm with Tank, to be honest with you. I don't think the question I asked you guys was, who else is there that you could give it to? So what I think will happen is, and I think this has been done on in and around the ground and training ground and stuff. Don't forget Harry Maguire's the big character, probably in the dressing room. I don't think he'll play as much this year if they do sign a centre back. And I think he'll be like club captain, but De Gea will be match day captain, or someone else will be match day captain, but he'll still be the club captain in inverted commas. But that's
Do you think his place is at risk, Jim? Yeah.
I think if they buy another centre off and he starts how he carried on last year, then yeah, I think that they will look at chopping and changing and try and find their best pairing. So whether that's Bailly and another, that means obviously he's not on the pitch, so he can't be captain. I think it's more of a like Tank says, if you get rid of it now, he'll be gone and you're never coming back from that. But if you give him 6 months and he pulls it through, at least then you can use his performances as an excuse to sort of take it away and say that he needs to concentrate on playing as opposed to being captain.
Tank, how have you found it, I suppose, with the captaincies and the captains you've had over the years? Is it an extra weight on players? Like what, or is that sort of role as captain kind of evolved now in the modern game? Do you think there's less of a focus on captains, or do you still think they're as kind of powerful and as dominant as ever?
I played one of the best captains. I personally think that, certainly in my career, in Colin Cooper. And he was only, I think it was 2.5 seasons I played him, but he was a proper. Do you remember him, the centre half?
Yeah. Wore his shorts up by his nipples. Like never had his shirt untucked.
He go on to Middlesbrough as well. Was it
he did. Yeah. He did. Now he wasn't a shouter and screamer. I mean, look, he was vocal, but he was just like he was an organizer. And back then at Forest, I was only young. Andy Johnson was young, and we used to fuck about. But we'd also know that you couldn't really fuck about with Coops. He was the only one who never fucking done anything to. But it was his performance in training. He trained how we played, and he was tough and he was vocal and he demanded certain standards. And the way he carried himself, Coops was like a proper captain. And then if there was where the players there were not nights out, like where there was functions where you're going out with your wives and that, he was organising everything. You'd be here for then, you'd here for then. He all done the tickets and everything was kind of organised. And Coops for me was the best captain I certainly played. And then when I went to Leicester with Matty Elliott, he was another one. Big, imposing character who, trained how we played, and they were really good captains. But I'm not. Jordan Henderson comes across like that, like as the standard setters in training and everything. But I'm with Jimmy. I'm looking at that Man United side, and I'm like, well, who else? I don't like a goalkeeper as captain. I don't. No. I think you need someone centrally who's, I just think a goalkeeper for me shouldn't be captain on the pitch.
There was one name that was thrown about, Tank, your mate Bruno. You wouldn't have him as captain, no?
Mate, I wouldn't have him on the fucking pitch. So, you're playing with 10-man Bruno. So, no. A captain's got to be someone who's doing the hard yards, who's putting the effort in and demanding that. How can Bruno demand people to work around him when he doesn't try a leg himself? He only comes alive when he's got the ball at his feet.
Well, that was when Tank was saying there, Jim, about captains being the standard setter. Harry Maguire's been setting awful standards for Man United across the course of the last year or so. So I just find it's a mad one. I know what I mean. The manager's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, but he's caught between a rock and a hard place in that he nearly has to stick with him in a way. Like we said there, there's not like there's any outstanding candidates. I wouldn't be a fan of Fernandes throwing his arms around and petulance rolling around on the floor. I think he sets all the wrong standards. But then you're looking at it going, well, maybe if he brought in a new player who he makes his leader, but he's not in the door yet. So he's, you know what I mean? He's had to make a decision, but you can't say that Maguire's been setting good standards.
Not on match day, but as Tank said, it's an all round. It's not. It's evolved now as captain. Before, you might organise, but there's all the the in the community stuff and the charity side and rallying the players up and in and around training and driving that forward. I think from a playing point of view, that captaincy's evolved more now because of what's involved within football. So before you wouldn't have the value of the clubs and the players as you did now. So yeah, I think it's what, like you hit the nail on the head. He's got no other choice. So it's probably a blessing in disguise. But if you bring someone in and Harry Maguire carries on as he is, you can bet your bottom dollar his numbers his number will be punched. So
yeah,
do you not think it has a thing to do with the club as well, like the hierarchy as well, Jamie? You know, because when you look, well, he's an investment, isn't he, Harry Maguire? Mm. You know, these money men look at these players as investment as much as anything. He's an £85 million investment. He's on fortunes a week, and it's kind of like, you know, if you're sitting down with a CEO and it's kind of like you need to get him.
They want to recoup his value.
Because you know, if he goes in and has another poor season, he's lost the captaincy. He's had another poor season, a bang average season. He's got a year left in his contract. You're looking to get about £2-3 million for him, going back to Hull or somewhere.
Well, is it not a difficult one as well, I suppose, because there is, it's nearly like damage limitation at this stage, I think, a little bit. But I agree with you. I think that there is definitely a better player than what's been shown. I just don't think the systems, everything's gone against him. We've said it at length. Is this, though, not a difficult one for Ten Hag? Because it's fair to say that a lot of Man United fans are not big supporters of Harry Maguire, and it's totally understandable why a lot of fans look for scapegoats. He seems like he hasn't helped himself, but he's certainly not a fan favourite. Does this kind of put Ten Hag on a bit of a backward foot with some of the fans, in that they're probably looking at this going, what the fuck is he picking him for? And that's you, Tank.
Yeah, sorry for me. I think I personally think this is, it's hard because I'm kind of contradicting myself, because I think it's difficult for them to come in and just go right swoop. But if you want a manager to come in and make them swooping changes at United, what's needed, that would have been that swooping statement to say, thank you, no thank you. This is what I'm going. This is the route I'm going. I'm signing this. Do you want the lad from Ajax, the centre half? I've got Varane, and that's what I'm going to go with. Now, for me, that would have been a statement where every fan, football fan, and every Man U fan would have gone and go, wow,
this fella means business.
He means business. Similar to what Jurgen Klopp done when he come in. Was it Benteke?
Yeah.
Was it Benteke? When he just went, you're not for me, bang, off you go.
Yeah.
Pep done
That's
it with Joe Hart.
Decision, though, isn't it?
Not really, mate. No, he was a £35 million signing. I mean, you're talking like 5 or 6 years ago. Big money, big player. He's come in, he's just gone, you're not for me, you don't fit the project or the way I'm going to play, off you go. Joe Hart, England's number one of the best goalkeepers in the world at the time. Not great with his feet, off you go, you won't be playing for me. 2 massive decisions. And maybe Ten Hag should have went the way, yeah.
You don't agree, Jim?
I don't agree, no. I think I don't think the United fans are. Don't get me wrong, they're not, you know, enamoured with Maguire's performances over the last year. But, you know, as we said on many of the podcasts, he's not the only one. But because his mistakes they're more comical as opposed to, you know, they're highlighted more because he's running around like a headless chicken. But there's other people that are on the same sort of level who are making the same sort of mistakes. So to go in there and go, you know, sweep it, all gone. I think the United fans would have gone, hang on a minute, like, I get what he's trying to do, but, you know, but again, it's all hearsay, isn't it? We don't know if he had someone else in, he probably would have changed it, but he's literally I don't think he's got no choice at this moment in time. And he might be struggling to bring someone in to replace him.
See, it could be a case of, and Jimmy touched on it there, managers have to play the game a little bit, and there's another manager that's come out today and I think probably played the game a little bit maybe, in the Jurgen Klopp has been very direct in his response to what a lot of Liverpool fans believe, that they need a new centre midfielder. Now, this is Liverpool need a new centre midfielder when they currently have 9 centre midfielders on the books. And Jurgen Klopp kind of come out today and was nearly a little bullish towards fans that believe Liverpool need an extra midfielder. He listed the players that are going to be fighting out for that position and kind of said, you name me what type of midfielder we lack. You know, and I think from his perspective, he genuinely believes this. I think he sees it as an opportunity to sort of bridge or blood the youngsters. Harvey Elliott, I think he has big hopes for. They've got the lad in from Fulham, Carvalho, which looks a massive prospect. Tank, do you believe what Klopp's saying here, knowing that he'd already tried to make a bid for Tuachemi, who went to Real Madrid?
No, he's probably playing a little bit. He's being cute, isn't he? He knows he's not going to get a centre midfielder in this season. So he's kind of like, players watch managers' press conferences. That's a fact. So if you're Harvey Elliott and you're Carvalho now and you're thinking, wow, the manager's telling me that I've got to do what I've got to do and I'll get my chance. And he's actually quoted saying he doesn't want to block their path to the first team. Harvey Elliott's meant to be absolutely flying. There's some, rave reviews coming out of him from training camps that he's... And I think we'll change formation this season. For that reason, I think he was desperate for a midfielder, desperate to sign a midfielder. But with Mane going, and because they brought Diaz supposedly 6 months in early, the hands are tied. Our owners don't go out and, they won't find an extra 60, 70, 80 million for the player. So I think his hands are tied and he's kind of just come out and, he's bigging up the youngsters. And I think it'll result in a formation change.
You think they'll move to the 4-2-3-1?
I do, yeah. And I'm half excited to see that because I've spoken about a few times on this podcast about the kid from Fulham. I think he's an absolute potential superstar. He has got the lot. He's 19 years of age. He was a massive, massive part of that Fulham team, what basically pissed the Championship last season, which is a difficult thing to do. That's the most difficult league in football to get out of. And he was, he was the standout Fulham player ahead of Mitrovic, who scored all the goals. This kid was supplying everything for them.
Jim, we kind of touched on the potential, because the reason that this story has come out is obviously because Jude Bellingham has been heavily linked with Liverpool for a long time now. Tank touched on it there, and he's been vocal with me in private, but also on podcasts about FSG's reluctance to spend in certain circumstances. You're not buying for 1 second, Jim, that Liverpool are after Bellingham or in with a shot of getting him.
Probably after him. I think the whole world would be after him, but whether you're going to get him or not would remain to be seen. I think someone would get shot in Dortmund if they sold Haaland and Bellingham in one summer. They haven't won the league since 2012. They've got young, good talent coming.
You've been doing research there, Jim.
Yeah, this is for this
2012.
Yeah, 2012. Well, my point is and so if they sold their top goal scorer for the last 4 seasons as well as their best midfielder, that's not going to happen. I'm not saying that Bellingham won't ever go to Liverpool. I just don't think it'll happen this season. But you using Tuchemeni as a example, I think every man and his dog would be in for him because he's just phenomenal. So I wouldn't use that bid as Liverpool need a midfielder. I think that's a
player-specific opportunity.
Worldy of a player available, so I'm getting my name in, and then we'll sort the pegs out afterwards. And I think it's probably just a speculative bid, just on the off chance that you get him, and you build your team around him for the next 15 years.
Yeah, I actually think you're right there in that Liverpool had a price for how do you say his name there, Jim? I'm struggling. Yeah, there you go. Tank, have a go. Go on.
Terry.
Terry will do. But yeah, I think there was a price. It went over that. I think Real Madrid have paid a premium that Liverpool weren't prepared to match. I think the Bellingham thing is interesting because I actually do think that he is the player that Klopp wants, and Liverpool, Tank, have shown that they're prepared to wait if they believe they can get the right player. You have to think of the likes of Virgil van Dijk, that he was the player they wanted. They weren't prepared to go for anyone else. They waited. That turned out all right. I get the sense that Bellingham is that player for Klopp. Lucas sent us in a question today where he asked, Bellingham to Liverpool from a tactical perspective. I think Jimmy's probably right. It might be tough to get this deal done this year. But if you're looking at the likes of a Bellingham come in, what would he bring to a Liverpool team? And is it potentially something that they do lack?
Well, I've with Jimmy on this, he 110% won't be getting sold this season whatsoever. I think he'll be a Liverpool player this time next summer. And I think the kid is one of them midfield players who's got absolutely everything in his bag. There's nothing what the kid can't do. He can tackle, he can defend, he can pass, he can score, he can assist. For me, he is the overall package. If you were going to build a midfielder on a computer, what had everything, this kid is potentially that. I think he's that good, and I think that's the reason why Liverpool are quite happy to sit back and, like they've done with Van Dijk, you know, I think he'll be a Liverpool player next season. I think he'll be the one signing we make next season.
Do you know why Bellingham wears number 22?
Go on.
Because
Is this another stat that you found in prep?
No, this is well known, but his coach when he was younger said he can play 4, 8, or 10. He's that good. He can play in any of them positions. So 4, 8, and 10 equals 22. That's why he wears 22.
Oh, I like it. Do you know, I'm going to steal that and pretend that I knew it and you never told it me. I like that one.
You say that one, lad.
Tell you what, dropping knowledge there.
That's it.
There's another question
All
that
these
came.
screens.
What's that? Oh, yeah, explain the screens, Jim. Because how many have you got in front of you now? You got some set
at the
up
minute.
there.
I've got
like
two.
you're landing planes there.
Yeah, I've got 2 at the minute. So one's my work laptop. I brought the iMac out just to do this podcast to plug it in, and I've got my screen for my work laptop, and then I've got the big TV behind it. So technically, there's 4.
Which one do you put the red tube on, Jim? None of them.
What's red tube?
What's red tube? Thank you. You tell him. You'll know.
It's a Liverpool website, mate. Have a look at it.
Oh, is it? Right. I watch all the red fans pretending they're signing Bellingham on there.
Yeah.
There's a question that came in from Albert, friend of the show, sent us in questions before, and I want to get a couple of perspectives. Very mindful of the fact that we try not to make this a Liverpool podcast, so I'll put a couple of different angles on this just for you, Jim. Pep Linders has got a book that's come out this week, or it's coming out soon, Tank, which looks very good. I have to say, Pep Linders has always impressed me whenever he's put up on kind of press conference duty. I feel like I learn a little bit about football when I hear him talk. But Albert's is a good question. He said, do you think when Klopp leaves, Pep Linders would be the man to step into the role? I want to get your opinion on that specifically, and then maybe generally to you both in terms of the difference between managers and coaches and what makes a good or bad one.
Categorically, zero chance of him becoming a Liverpool manager after Klopp. Zero chance whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah.
Why are you so certain?
Because I don't think he's a manager. I think he's an outstanding technical coach who spots things and notices things and relays it to the main man. And I'm not comparing, but I am comparing because the fella gets a lot of stick. But in football, in the circles, he was regarded as the outstanding coach, Steve McLaren, and he was a shite manager.
Well. Steve Holland.
Yeah. But just Pep Linders, he's the man's a genius as a coach. You know, but for me as a manager, you need to have that little stardust, like a little, the special managers like Klopp, they absorb people. And when Klopp or Pep's on an interview, I'm like, let me listen, and I'm hanging on every word. When I see Pep Linders on the telly, he's kind of like, he's interesting. He's not got the overall package for me. I think he's one of the best coaches in world football, and he should stick that. Don't forget, he's also flopped at management.
Yeah, he came back, not back with his tail between his legs, but it didn't work out for him, and then he was quickly back at the club.
It's because when I was a coach under Mickey Adams, your focus is to get the training sessions done, plan your training sessions, and that's it. That's your role. And make sure
you were number 2, Tank, to Mickey.
I was number 2 to Mickey Adams as assistant manager. Yeah, but then Mickey was, it's the overall package what you got to do. You're talking with the chairman about budgets and what you've got and how much you can put, and you've got to get everything all together. Where Pep Linders for me is he's a coach, he's an encyclopedia of knowledge about football, and that's what he needs to stick to. Sometimes in life, if you're that good at something, just stick with it, stick to it.
Do you agree with that, Jim? Do you think it is a case that the good coaches don't always make good managers?
Not necessarily, but I don't know Pep Linders as a person, and I don't know what his aspirations are. He probably has got manager there, but I think you need to look at it from a business point of view. Liverpool are fighting, on all fronts for every competition with a world-class manager. Are they just going to let Pep Linders walk into the manager's role with having no experience, having no, prior knowledge to managing in the Premier League? I think if anyone thinks that would happen are very naive. And you've only got to look at I know Moyes was managing at Everton and he did well, but, with Ferguson handpicking his replacement, there's certain aspects of big club management that some people aren't used to, and that's what happens when coaches move into the management roles, because they're not, as Tank says, their everyday jobs is to do the sessions, get on with the lads, and that's it. You go home and you'll deal with the manager. The manager's got to do. Is that your cock ring, Alan? Fell off.
Yeah, no, I dropped. This is going to sound weird. I dropped me ring there. I actually did just drop. well spotted, Jim. I thought I got away with it, and I just kind of crossed my legs like a naughty schoolboy there.
But you got to deal with contract negotiations, deal with the board. You got to deal with physios. All that. The job role, it just widens. So it's not. I don't think it is that easy to step into. But look, some people can do it. Doesn't mean he won't be a good manager. I just don't think he'll be the next Liverpool manager.
Tank, what's made, you've had many a run in with managers over the years, but the coaches specifically. You mentioned there Steve McLaren is highly regarded within the game as a top coach. What's made a good coach for you, and equally a bad one?
Well, we had Mickey's assistant at Leicester was Alan Cork, and he was just like fucking. He was hilarious.
The Sheffield United forward?
The big beard and Wimbledon, the centre forwards. Yeah, fucking.
Mate, I am relying on my Premier League years knowledge here. Pulled
that was good, that mate. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know Scooby.
But he was one of the funniest fellas, but he had it off to a T. He had the assistant manager off to a T, because Mickey was hard on us. If we drew a game, the year we got relegated at Leicester, and then the next season we were going for the league title, and if we dropped a point on a Saturday, he'd run us hard on a Monday, like a point's not acceptable, and so we'd be slaughtering them, and then Corky he'd just diffuse it, and like it'd just be gone, and all, like he'd be taking a piss and he'd slaughter some of the lads, and he was just like, we'd moan at him and he'd be like, don't have a go at me, I'm fucking BBB, bibs, balls, and fucking what BBC, bibs, balls, cones, baldy corkies, big balls, cones. That's all he ever used to say. And he just diffused the situation. You're like, you'd be going, you prick, and he'd be like, shut up, you scouts, cunt, this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden, but then when I look back at it now, he was a clever fucker, because the lads were moaning, and he just diffused the situation like that, and he just like, get on with your running, and I'll knock 2 runs off the end. He was never knocking 2 runs off the end, but he'd just say, right, you're meant to do 8, you're doing 6. Don't tell him, because he'll sack me. And then he was just clever, and he manipulated us quite well. And then Tuesday we'd be coming in, we'd be all laughing and smiling, and then we just get on with it. And then Mickey would come out, and we'd be like, little fucker. But but Corky as a manager would never have worked. Never have worked in a month of Sundays. He was a good coach. He was a good assistant manager. He knew how to play the lads, and I just think it's a difficult role managing.
There's the next topic, and we hummed and hawed and I'm still humming and hawing over it now. To be honest, this could go absolutely.
See myself out here.
this could go absolutely pear shaped.
Anyway, nice speaking to you, lads.
So let's tread carefully, right? Well, actually, no, let's not tread carefully. Let's just give honest opinions, and we're not giving honest opinions in the view to offend anyone. We're just giving opinions. And I'm going to go to Jim first and play it a little safe. And we'll build into
this. Oh, Jim, have this grenade.
So there was an article that Tank popped into our WhatsApp chat today about the attendances of the Women's Euros. And it opened up an interesting conversation, and that's what we want this podcast to be: is football chat, people's opinions. No one's claiming to be, the second coming here or absolute experts. We're just 3 mates having a laugh, giving our opinions on football, right? And we had a conversation then about the Women's Euros, and it's an interesting topic. I want to know, Jim, what's been your opinion? Have you seen any of the games? Have you watched much? If you have, what have you thought? If you haven't, why haven't you?
I've watched a couple of games. We had it on the other night. Was it the Netherlands, Denmark? I think we're playing the other night.
I'd say your missus is I know she's a strong woman, and she'd be a big advocate of women's sport. So
probably not. She'll give you the same opinion as Tank, to be fair, but she's an advocate for women. Of course she is, and she's a sportsman herself, or a sports person, should I say, herself. So You know, she's all for it. But you know, having watched it, I struggle, and the only reason I struggle is because I'm used to what I'm watching. So when you're used to watching some at that high level, and you know, I'm not saying that and they could probably run rings around me and you, Homer, maybe not Tank, but it's not what I'm used to watching. So it's like, you know, if I'm watching the Masters and then I'm watching the you know, some amateurs down the park. Not that they are amateurs. It's just a different level. So I do struggle with it. Look, I'm all for it, mate. To be honest with you, I'm any female sport, anything along them lines, and you know, good on them for getting to where they are. But do I particularly set my TV to record it? No.
Well
Not
played,
really.
mate. You handled that well. You tried to
Safe,
give an opinion, and
proper
you
safe.
did.
He's gone safe.
So
What
on
am I
that
on
note,
about, mate? What fence? What fence?
splinters on your ass there, Jim. No, you did that. You did well. Tank, I get the sense that you probably won't be as safe, mate. What's been your opinion on it?
Shite. That's it. And it's nothing to do with whether you're female, male, whether you're an alien, whatever. If the
Don't go down
good,
don't go down like
no,
genders. We're not going.
we won't. No, we're not. We're not. But listen, if a product is good and it's you know, you're enjoying it and you think, like, I threw one into you before about the UFC, the women's UFC. Absolutely love it. I think it's amazing. I can't wait for that Amanda Nunes rematch, because you watch the women's UFC and it's every bit as entertaining as the men's world title fight. It's brilliant. They go toe to toe.
It's nearly more technical. It's nearly more technical, isn't it? Yeah.
But they go for each other. Like, they stand there and they have it, and it's an unbelievable. It's a product what I love to watch, and I can't wait to watch it. I watched the I'm not going to even try and say a name. The Polish girl against the
actually, yeah, it's a tough one.
Chinese
Joanna.
woman. Yes, just stick with Joanna. I watched that rematch through the weekend. Like, it was they went toe to toe, and you're like, wow, these are elite. This is serious. Like, going for it, and they're elite. I watch women's football, and it's poor. It's poor. It's slow. I mean, some of the goals, you listen to the commentary, like, some of the goals go in about 4 miles an hour, and the goalkeeper's diving over the ball and everything. They're going, on what a strike that is. And I just go to that and I go, dink, and I turn the telly off. It's got nothing to do with whether it's women or it's the product is poor. And it's getting rammed down your throat that much. It's like, it makes you even turn against it more. They're saying every game sell out. Every stadium's empty. The stadiums are like less than, there must be 20% full, and UEFA's coming out and saying another sellout, 500,000 tickets sold. Where? And that's to say, it's like, when something gets drummed down your throat that much, I mean, Sky Sports are doing stuff, but the product is actually it's poor. And I'd love to know the figures. The actual true figures of who's watching it and how many's watching it on the television, because I guarantee they'd be lying.
See, so this is where I come in playing devil's advocate. I have to agree with you, right? I on the goal, I've always had an issue with the goalies. I don't know why. It's like a proper Sabutio goalie. It's like just like they move in slow motion, their arms in that one position. You know what I mean? It is a bit like a Sabutio goalie. But if we take a step back, right? Amazing to give. So I talk about representation with my son. Son's mixed race, his two heroes, Lewis Hamilton and Trent Alexander-Arnold. He doesn't realize it yet, but it's probably because they look a little bit like him, and they're two heroes. So I love the idea of young girls being able to watch TV and see people that look like them playing a sport that they love. So I love that side of it. But then you're looking at it from a technical perspective, and there is a massive, massive drop off. There's no, the speed of the game is slower. Technically, it just doesn't seem quite right to what we're used to. So rather than just go, it's a substandard product versus what we're used to. But Jim, is it not fair to say that is a big leap that the women have to take to try and get anywhere close to it? And how can it get better? Is it it's more funding, it's more exposure, it's better coaching? Like what is it to bridge that gap?
Isn't it? Well, it's the sands of time turn slowly, don't they? So for anything to get from here to here takes time. So where the women's game was to where it is now it is phenomenal growth and what people are seeing. Now, what you got to understand is now, what do you know from a marketing point of view, do you call Starburst, or do you still call them Opal Fruits? Because when they first changed it, everyone was up in arms, weren't they? But things change and then things get better and you get used to it. So now that more football's on the telly for young girls and females, they're going to be starting earlier. You know, they're starting at 4, 5 now, whereas before they're probably 12, 13, 14, 15. So they're not going to have that technicality where most professionals start really young. It's very rare a professional footballer, any gender, starts at a later age. So the more that's going, the more that they'll be playing, more clubs will be getting, more affiliations, more money pumped in, better sponsorship. You know, in our lifetime, hopefully, the standard will be right up there, and people will be more technically
Jim, right up there with what?
Isn't it? It's difficult. Will it ever match a men's game? I can't answer that. The likelihood is no. It's just because of physicality and body types. Will things change over time? You see female basketball players and they're like 7 foot tall, and that
You've seen a female basketballer 7 foot tall?
Oh, several played against them, dunked on them.
He watched some one of the screens now. He's watching it live now. On one of the small screens.
on this red tube, mate.
Oh,
my point is, the more
that link.
Yeah.
It'd probably be tame compared to some of the shit you send us, Tank, to be honest.
True.
The more visible it is, it's only going to get better. So as much as I don't watch it, doesn't mean that it's not great that it's there for everyone to watch.
So you won't be tuning in for the final, Tank, no?
No, when it's got nothing. If I like something and enjoy something, I'll watch it. Whether it's people
Island.
like it, it's good. But exactly like Love Island. I used to get mocked before I got banned from Twitter. I used to get slaughtered by ex-players who were played with that. I'm watching Love Island. I like it, so I'll watch it. And it's similar with the women's football. It's
like my Crocs.
It's stratospheres behind men's football. But what slightly icks me is you've got people who are saying that
he's using Love Island terms.
Look at this big turn and everything.
I actually meant
women's football's not his type on paper.
But I'm coupling up with it later. No, but it's just it's the product, mate, and the product is not. In fact, the product's not good. The product's very, very substandard, in my opinion. I watch some of the stuff and I'm like, it's not great, and I hope young girls get inspired by it and it improves and improves and improves. But it's you hear people who are talking, you're on Sky Sports saying that we need to get to where the men's game. Now, the harsh reality is it will never ever get anywhere near where the men's game is. That's just a fact. That's not me being sexist or not. And the fact of the matter is, a Liverpool and Manchester City football game in the Premier League, the women's game will never even get close to being that. Most men's football at any level won't get close to that. So what just drives me insane a bit is the fact that we get it drummed down our throats 24/7, and it's not going to get to where we're being told it's going. It just won't.
So I think we've done it pretty well. We haven't. There's been nothing too shocking. I was going to ask an additional question there, but I thought that could lead us down a dodgy path. So I'm going to take a step back and say, well done, lads. No, it's fine. It's fine. It was fine. We'll politely move on, right? Because we've got a couple of questions that I want to get through before we wrap up, right? And a couple of them are listener questions, right? So the first one, or the next one, I should say, is come in from Collie Emmett. And Collie has asked, what is your favorite retro shirt? And I'll come to you first, Jim, on that one. His was Holland 88 for the record.
No.
Is that yours?
It's mine. I've got two, but that's one of them.
Well, then go for the second one then.
No, go on. It's on you, Jim.
Yeah, you start, Jim.
I've got a couple where I've been, I was thinking about this, and I had a couple of Liverpool shirts back in the day. Remember the yellow and the white and green squared one, like the 4 squares?
Oh, that was a good one. I like that.
That was a good one, and it had a round collar. I had that one.
Yeah.
I had the Newcastle goalie, the Shaka Hislop goalie one. It was all like bright colours. But the one I'm going for was the Newcastle away one, the like a purple and dark blue one, the hoops, and it had like the collar, white collar, and it was circle one.
I love this question. People always put up a picture.
Is
it David Ginola? How do you know I was going to ask that? What player do you think of?
Ginola, mate, him or someone. But yeah, that shirt. I had that shirt. I had quite a few of the Newcastle shirts, and I'd buy that. I've seen it a couple of times. Advertised, like, oh yeah, I'd buy that again.
Yeah, because they're coming back into fashion now. It's nearly cool to wear them. And it's
thank you, Manchester.
You were Holland 88. Have you got another one?
Yeah. Remember, and I don't even know why, but I just used to love the kit. Remember the Norwich kit when they were in Jerry McGoss? It was Jerry McGoss. Yeah, remember that? I mean, that was a proper. I loved that kit. And then obviously the Liverpool one was the crown paints one. With the thin. It was the red and the little
83.
Thin. Yeah, that was a special kit. That. But
that had the collar.
That had the white collar.
It had the white collar, and Liverpool nearly did a remake of the same collar when because I loved Stan Collymore. I've told you this before, growing up, and they did a season when Collymore joined where they had the same collar, the big white V-neck, which I loved. The other one I liked was because I was the same as you, Jim. Before it was bred into you to hate other teams. I used to like getting footy kits.
All the kits, don't you?
So I had same as you. I had Newcastle. I also had don't know if you can remember it now. It was Arsenal JVC kit. It was yellow and it had the Adidas blue stripes coming down on the diagonal. I thought that was a class one.
Tell you what other one I had, the United one that was half and half, and it had the tie. It had the ties. The Cantona one.
Was that the black one?
No, there was green and yellow.
The green and yellow one.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I remember.
You have the tie here, so you could tie. I'd like the tie.
Yeah, it's funny because you're looking at these kits now. I'm nearly sure that Arsenal have started to bring back those kits now with their new breed. There's a couple of absolute classics. It's funny when you say that, Jim, that yellow and green one. It's like, which player do you think of? And I'm thinking Cantona there because there was a video of Vinnie Jones absolutely volleying Cantona at Selhurst Park, and they were in that kit. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Tank. And you can see that Cantona doesn't want to show that he's hurt, so he just does this mad roll and then jumps straight back up.
Yeah, I remember the exact one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. The next question that's come in is from Roy Jepson, and Roy is a Forest fan. So I'm going to aim this one at you, Tank. I think it's tongue in cheek a little bit. Roy asks, who will finish higher, Forest or Liverpool?
Well,
no,
obviously,
was he asking Leicester, wasn't he?
What?
Was he not say Leicester?
No, he said Liverpool.
Oh, did he say Liverpool? Sorry, I thought you were Leicester.
Yeah, but the second stage to that question, because I think he's probably taking the piss a bit. Even the most optimistic of Forest fans will probably would say Liverpool. You've got to be happy with the business Forest have been doing. Obviously, Nico Williams has come in. Good bit of business for them.
Well, do you know what I like about what Forest are doing? They spent a lot of money, by the way. I think this takes their spending up to close to 75 million, which is that's big money. But you know what I like about what the manager's done is, and I don't want to piss Forest fans off by saying this, I think he's ensured that if and I always say we because I played for the club, that long. If we went down this season, Forest are going to be in such a strong position to come straight back up.
Because of the type of players they're buying.
Well, he signed really good, hungry, talented players like Nico Williams. He's got the left back who from Bayern Munich, who a lot of clubs were looking at when he was at Reading a couple of seasons ago. He's got the centre forward from Germany. He was on Liverpool's books. They couldn't, there was big things about him, but we couldn't get a work permit. Was that? Am I thinking right in saying Jamie at Liverpool for him?
Yep. Yeah.
So, this kid's, is he 19, 20? He scored 17 Bundesliga goals last season. So you're looking at the signings, what they've made. They've signed a few French lads from the French league who are all young. They've got huge development growth in all of them. And I just think, which I hope it doesn't happen, if Forest got relegated next season,
Then
He
signed
bounced.
Henderson as well, Dean Henderson.
They've got him from United, another top sign. What I like about them is like Dean Henderson's a better keeper than Samba, the keeper who's left, which was a bit strange really, because he was like a playoff hero,
I don't think
and
he'll
then
play.
he's just gone. I want to go. I want to leave, and you're like, you know, he would have went down as a bit of a legend at the club. He saved penalties in the playoff. He's gone up in promotion and all that, and you kind of like, it's a bit of an odd one for me. That, but look, he's a French lad. He wants to go back home. But I just think Forest, what they've done is they've come in, they've got the business done early, and there's with the plays they've got with Brennan Johnson, I think they're going to be okay for the next 5 or 10 years.
I always think, and I'll ask this to both of you, obviously Tank with his Forest connections and Jim.
Wait, I was born and bred in Nottingham, don't forget.
All right. Well, you're a Leeds. Well, actually, I only learned that you were a Leeds fan the other day. We've been mates for absolutely years, and you've never said that. Do you just make that up? You're not a Leeds fan, really, are you? You don't support anyone.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm a football fan, mate. Just love football.
Oh God, look at this guy! Fucking hell. What's a realistic aim for these promoted clubs? Is it just, you know what I mean? Is it just stay in the league?
Survival.
100%. Yeah, if Nottingham Forest stay up next year, regardless of how much money they spent, because you know you've got to try. You've got to. What's the other? You know, the other side of that coin. Don't spend and go down anyway. So you know you're going to get the parachute payments. You probably sell the players again and make majority of the money back. You've got to go for it. So survival is the main aim, and anything above that is a bonus.
Right, I want to finish on unpopular opinions, lads, and the reason that I want to do this is because I think I thought of one yesterday, and I want to get your thoughts now. This can be football or non-football related, and I'm going to kick off with mine, right? Because so I'm just going to come out the statement and then I'll give you the context. Barbecues are not worth the hassle, right? And I'll give you the context, right? I love barbecues. I love the taste of barbecues. I love meat on barbecues. I love everything about barbecues when it's at someone else's house. So when you go into someone's house and they give you the barbecue, happy days, love it. But yesterday, I did a barbecue, cleaned all the barbecue out. So prep is involved. There's quite a bit of it. Clean the barbecue out. Then it's prepare the meat, cook the meat. Come down this morning, the house stunk of smoke. Yeah. You know, and then you got to do the big cleanup after. But see, the thing is, mate, you can't. It's not a barbecue if it's not a coal bar. You got to do it properly.
That's my point. Are you gassing or you?
No, none of that. You got to do coal barbecue.
Otherwise, it's an outside oven. It's an outside hob, isn't it?
Exactly. So, but I said to the missus there yesterday after we finished. Don't get me wrong, food was nice and all that. Kids had a couple of burgers. But for all the messing around, pre, during, and post barbecue, I actually don't think they're worth the hassle. And next time, I don't think I'm going to offer. I'm just going to put it in the oven and deal with the consequences. Do you agree? And what are your unpopular opinions?
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
I don't agree. No, I love a barbecue. I've married into a South African family, mate, with barbecue every week. Braai, they call it. But
yeah, but you probably get to go to the in-laws.
No, I'm the cook now. I'm the chef. So it was the father-in-law, but he's passed on the mantle, and it varies.
Responsibility.
Yeah, and it varies between me and my brother-in-law. So Jonathan does it every now and again if he's there. But if I'm there early, I'm the one who's doing it. So, but you're the same. I get it. But what I don't like is I don't trust anyone else to do it. So I know I like to barbecue. I know I like my barbecue food. So if someone else does it and they burn stuff, it's like, oh no, that's not for me. So,
what about you, Tank?
Well, you've half threw me on this because I answered the question, but I forgot to get one. I forgot to get one on you. But on yours, I'm 110% with you on barbecues, mate. So much so that Jimmy mightn't like this. I've binned my coal barbecue and bought a nice big outside barbecue because it's a headache. It's an absolute headache, and then especially with
barbecue, though, is it? It's just a hob.
Yeah, but I know, but at least it's a hob, and I can actually cook stuff instead of like charcoal and everything. Because
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. I've looked at the half and half ones. You get half gas, half charcoal. So, like, if you just fancy a quick blaster, you chuck it on the gas. But if you want a proper one, you get the charcoal out.
No, see, I'm legit. It's just kind of like one of them where I have a lot of barbecues and ours with the
It's not barbecue though, is it?
it's not. It's just outdoor oven, which I'm glad with it because I can lower it down to make sure. Because my barbecues were famous for being an absolute disaster where nothing to get at because everything's burnt. You can't turn coal down and say, "Will you just drop that heat a bit, please?"
Do you want a trick? Anyone want a trick?
Go on.
This is learned from the South Africans. So you put once you got your coals on there, and they're all obviously getting nice and white. Put your hand over the grill, and you want to get to 5 shits. Okay, so you count how long.
5 shits.
5 shits. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then your hand's too hot. Shit. Right.
Okay.
So if you go 1, 2 shit, that's too hot. It's too hot. Don't put your food on yet. You've got to wait to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shit. That's your perfect temperature.
Jay, just if any kids are watching this, don't fucking do that. Please.
Dropping 5 logs at a barbecue.
I'll have our jack like that. Don't fucking melt it.
You put it over the grill, not on the grill.
What's your unpopular opinion, Jim? Because you said you had one.
I've got
football
2.
or non-football.
I've got my football one. I said it ages ago before he's had his nightmare season. I said Marcus Rashford was overrated. Never liked him. Didn't think he was any good. And this was.
I think you're getting proved wrong this season on him.
Nah, I think he's awful. And then my second one.
Awful.
Yeah, I think he's bad. Awful. Yeah.
Awful.
I didn't know you were so venomous about this. So
you're set
on the fence. You're set on the fence about the women's football, but he's telling us now that Marcus Rashford's awful.
Yeah, racist.
I'd have Rashford at Liverpool. I would have Rashford at Liverpool.
What for? Running a 100-meter sprint, mate. You can't play football.
I would have Rashford at Liverpool.
Speedboat driver.
You're making him sound like he's Chris Akabusi here, Jim. You know what I mean? Just fucking running in straight lines. Chris Akabusi.
He's like a modern day Theo Walcott.
Why are you going on to Chris Akabusi? He was brilliant.
Yeah, Chris Akabusi.
He can't play football.
Yeah. He can't kick a ball.
Well, he was a good runner.
Them horses behind you can run, Tank. It doesn't mean they can kick a ball, lad.
Who are they, mate? Are they your horses?
Portraits, self-portrait.
They don't mind them. Yeah, and do you know every one of them are retired? It's killed me. That's the main man, King's Cave, Dark Seas, Superstar, and Gloria Paris. And then on this one here, I've got all my others here.
Are they all still alive, Tank? Yeah.
Here you go.
No, that's all.
Look at this.
He's a beautiful one, him. And then I've got the other one here, who's running. Yeah, missus go mad now because they're all. And then I've got the other 2 over there, but I can't reach. Yeah, now these are all my horses. What I've either won, run, or yeah.
And if you had to pick a favourite,
it's got to be Champ Israel, not Clear the Runway. He's won 8 out of. He's won 6 out of 8 races this season. Superstar, mate. Yeah, nearly sold him in January this year. We just couldn't get to the bottom of him. He had serious nerve issues, he was terrified, which is not ideal for a horse. But he got proper But Laura Morgan, the trainer, I said to her, "You're going to have to sell him. He's a pig." I paid 38 grand for him, and I went, "Just get me 10 grand." And she was like, "You messing?" She went, "You haven't seen what he does on the gallops at home." I went, "It's on the track, but he's got to do it." So she got his wind done, given some TLC, and he's an absolute superstar, mate. He's won 6 out of 8. Going to go for some big races next season.
Right. Well, I'm not a gambler, right? So I'm basically bad luck whenever I gamble. I think the only ever thing I've won was when Richard Dunwoody, I think his name was. Tank, you'll know better than me. He ran in the national. Yeah. I think he won me 90 quid, and I was at a wedding. And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing! There's me night paid for." But yeah, let me know when he's racing, and I'll put money on.
We will do, mate.
Jim, your unpopular opinion to finish.
Birthday cards, Father's Day cards, any sort of card are a waste of money. Yeah. Don't bother getting me. They stay up for a day, they do my head in, they fall down, and then they get lobbed in the bin. Literally useless. Don't bother. Send me a text.
You'd appreciate a text just as much.
Just a text, yeah. Text. Let me know you're thinking of me.
Yeah.
See, it's funny when you say that. The first person that came to my mind was my mum, right? And she'd be listening. So hello, mum. But she loves those big sentimental cards where, usually with anyone else, you don't even read what's in the card and you just look at what they wrote and then that's it. Whereas I know that my mum has literally picked those cards out and then she'll just sign it. Lots of love from mum and Tom. What about you, Tank? Are you a card? I can't say you're not a card giver.
I'm with Jimmy there. I mean, I don't even used to read the card. when I was young, you'd open it, and if there wasn't a tenner or 20 out of it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Who's that from? I don't know. There's no money in it.
Doesn't matter yet.
Back in our day, mate, it was coins taped in the inside.
You could feel them. You could feel them. Yeah, but no, I'm with them. Cards are not a waste of time. I'd rather just send it to, happy birthday, Jimmy. Get them fucking Crocs off before we cut your feet off.
Have you got them on? Look at this. Look delighted with himself.
Not in sport mode, though. They're not in sport mode at the minute.
No. Jimmy, can I just ask you if they actually got Crocs written on the side there?
Yeah, lad. Look there. Look. See,
Jamie, I can no longer do this podcast.
You're not having
not only has he got Crocs on, he's got Crocs written on the sides, and they're like,
hold on. I had something to say. Have you written that yourself, Jim?
No. It's chopped out. It's like cut out, lad. Look, I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll take it off.
Go on.
Oh dear, mate.
They're smelly, then,
dear
mate.
Me.
Fucking hell. Oh. Let me get a photo of that because I'm going to use that. Put that back up there, Jim. Jesus, put it up.
Oh,
Mansfield Carnival top penalty taker. These were 70 miles per hour at the weekend.
Wearing them?
No, actually, I took them off. Did it barefoot.
You'd get some ping if you were wearing them, mate. You'd be
like going
flyaway back in the day.
Big toe buds.
Jesus. Lads, last thing before we go. Tank, I was going to try and set us up a fantasy football league for the podcast. What do you reckon, mate? I'll be honest. Your setup this week has been immaculate. You look great. You sound great. What do you think about fantasy football? Do you reckon you could use an app and pick the team?
Yeah, good. I'll ask Millie to help me. She done this. So, yeah. But no, yeah, I'll have a go at it.
Okay, good man. Jim, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, mate, all good. Thank you.
No, good to chat, boys. So with that, that is enough from us for this week.
Oh wait, I've got to give a shout out to Marvin Baker. We played at the weekend in my vet's game, and I was linking, and he said he'd listen if I give him a shout out. So shout out to Marv. Linking again at the weekend. We were Jimmy McCarthy, Marv Baker goal. Like the good old times.
How did you play, lad?
That was the list. It doesn't matter if they played. We've seen the picture. It's the ginger albinos 11.
Yeah, man.
Fact the 50s.
Right,
the fact the 50s. Lads keeling over after it was like Steve Staunton. Remember Steve Staunton in the
yeah.
It was hot. I'll give you that. On 4G as well. My hamstrings today are tight.
Do you play well, lad?
I did all right, I did all right. Tailed off towards the second half, but I was goal and 2 assists. You can't ask for much more than that, can you?
No.
Well, 2 goals and 2 assists, but
who's counting?
No.
You count. Massively so.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. With that is definitely enough from us. Thank you to everybody for listening or watching. Thank you to everybody that sent in the questions. I actually love getting the listener questions because it makes people feel like they're part of the show, and we want you to be part of the show. So keep them coming. As always, send us in your feedback. We love reading the feedback and hearing that people are enjoying. And look, if you want to hear us do more things, you've got some ideas for shows, send them in. We're more than happy to accommodate. One ask from me, if you don't mind, if you see a link posted to our YouTube page, if you wouldn't mind subscribing. We're painfully close to our first milestone, which was getting us to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And if you've listened to past shows, you know that means that we'll start doing the live shows on YouTube, which will be a bit of crack. So if you don't mind, give us a subscribe on there. As always, I hope you have a fantastic week. Look after yourselves, and we will all be back with you next week on the Boot Room Podcast. All the best.
Cheers, lads.
Good lads.